Hello and welcome back to the Comic Lounge. Today I am here with, again, another fairly short stack of comics that I picked up from Highway to the Gaming Zone. Again, it's a stack of 8 here, and it's definitely mostly DC comics. However, there's a couple late period Bronze Age issues here, and again, would also classify as titles, and for the most part, some early 80s to mid period Copper Age issues and titles. So before I get into any of these, I will see you after this. Since obviously that Highway to the Gaming Zone is pretty much the only sort of comic shop, or at least the only shop that sells comics here in town, because I don't really make a whole lot of trips outside of Susanville. Once in a while I will, but it's always fairly rare. But still, since you're trying to find time to spare time and just to just waste whatever and just do something at least active, well, for me, comic digging or record digging, whatever, is just usually for me, really is one of the best spare time wasters, really that there is. So here we go. And again, just with all that time that I spare, to look through what they have within their boxes still, there's always some sort of idea, or some sort of at least just curiosity that sparks within me to look through and see if there's still anything that's hiding, or that is waiting to be discovered within their boxes. And that's how I'm able to kind of come across some really interesting titles and so on, and I end up becoming very familiar. So therefore, if I want something that's still there, I know where it's at. Just like this. So the first one, this is definitely one of the late Bronze Age era titles that I'm going to show you. So it is, of course, Arak, Son of Thunder. It's issue number 11. Of course, it's a newsstand. Well, 1982, DC, it's always going to be a newsstand, right? Again, Ernie Cohen as the artist and Roy Thomas as the writer. I know Arak was usually referred, and this was what really piqued my interest, is that Arak was usually referred to as a Conan knockoff, but Roy Thomas, who spent time, writing Conan the Barbarian back in the 70s, at least from what I've searched, because I'm not that well versed in Conan the Barbarian from the Marvel period, which was a long period, by the way. What I found out is he wanted to do a Conan the Barbarian style character for DC, because there was just a couple that, there was like one at least that of course was becoming quite popular. That was the Warlord. But then of course around this time period, I guess there was some sort of talk of or pitch, whatever, to come up with another Conan-based character. But Roy Thomas didn't want to do that. Instead, what he wanted to do was do a Native American / Indian character that kind of has the sort of Conan vibe, but isn't completely treated like a complete copy or clone of Conan the Barbarian. And since around this period, when it comes to Native American / Indians that were usually portrayed in comics, they always were kind of portrayed as either typecasted or were just stereotyped. So Roy Thomas wanted to go away from that, and he felt that giving a sort of barbarian, or at least Conan the Barbarian sort of idea style to a Native American character was really unique and fascinating. He did some research anyways on Native Americans and, like, was it 500 BC or whatever, to come up with Arak, Son of Thunder, a character that was a hulking barbarian built Native American character who fought monsters and Greek mythology sort of character, or Norse mythology, whatever. And that's what we got here, and it really became one of the most fascinating characters from DC. That was, even though sword and sorcery just felt unique. So still, here and there, I'm definitely going to be dabbling more into Arak, Son of Thunder, if I ever find some ones, you know, in fairly good condition like this one here. So there you have it, Arak, Son of Thunder. And finally, the last sort of late period Bronze Age title I have here is All-Star Squadron, issue number 4. This, of course, is the first appearance for the character Dragon King. So it's definitely a small key issue here, but it's an issue of All-Star Squadron, you know, from right when they first, you know, kicked off the series in 1981. So it's an early Bronze Age era title, and the cool thing, it's a direct edition from 1981, a early direct DC title. So in fairly good condition. I'd say maybe like a good 8.5 to a 9 at least. A very fine to near mint copy. It's really nice looking. So obviously for like what, $5, that's how much I got that one for. You know what, I'll take it. That's a really good title. So there you have it, All-Star Squadron, issue number 4. Fantastic. Now here, let's definitely get into some of the more copper-age titles. So here we have is issue number 2 from the Helena Bertinelli Huntress series, the first series for the characters, and this would probably mark as the second appearance, I believe, then for the Helena Bertinelli Huntress. So again, this would be number 2 again to this series. This is pretty much what kicked off this particular character, and so fairly decent condition for, well, as you can see, $2. Why not? 1989, again, around the first appearance of the Helena Bertinelli Huntress. I'll take it. So there you have it. Wish it would have been cool if it was a newsstand, but a direct is still fine enough, because I mean, by 1989, most people were mostly kind of purchasing direct editions and very less of a newsstand. But I'm not quite sure. This one might have sold fairly well and a new, you know, off like the news racks or whatnot. But still, it's very cool, and hey, couldn't pass it up. All right, so this is going to be more fascinating. This is actually going to be four issues, and it's for this particular 4-issue miniseries. And I've been wanting to kind of dive in and get these for this character, because this is one of those really somewhat obscure DC comic characters, especially anti-hero characters, some that were kind of cashing on the Punisher. Since I have like the 4-issue Deadshot mini, there was another sort of 4-shot mini that was kind of similar in vein, but I just was very, since I had seen number 1 there, but I noticed that they had all 4 of the minis there for like, while some of these were not bagged and boarded, I was able to get a really good deal and good price on some of them. So what I'm going to show you here is Wild Dog. So here we have, of course, by the way, newsstand edition, probably maybe a good 7 to 7.5 maybe in condition wise for this, but still, this is Wild Dog number 1, first appearance of the character Wild Dog, Jack Wheeler. So again, direct a newsstand, by the way, again, a newsstand. So that was one thing that really popped my eye, because they had another copy that was in okay-ish condition, but it was a direct. But they had another copy that wasn't bagged or boarded or whatever, and wasn't, you know, given a price tag. But I wanted to see if it was a possible newsstand. It turned out it was, so that's what sold me. It was a bit grimy though when I got it, but I did the best I could to kind of clean it. But still, I'm never gonna try and do that again. But still, whatever's minimal is best I can do. Again, there it is, number 1. Here we have is issue number 2. Again, some of these are not perfect condition. They are not super near mint, but these were the best looking copies that I could at least find at the shop there. And again, at least $3 each for these issues. So again, number 2. This one's a direct, but it's a fairly good looking copy. Here we have is number 3. Now this one, of course, was one that was actually priced at $5. This was only one because the other copy that wasn't bagged or boarded had a, it was really badly creased around this area. And so it was a nice looking copy that wasn't dirty or anything, didn't have a whole, I mean, it was a fairly cleaner copy than this, but that spine tick, that spine sort of crease right there would look like it was like bent and everything. I couldn't. I had to pass on that, so I just went with the one that was already priced, so I had to get paid $5 for this one. But you know what? That's whatever. Once it came out to the price, like what, $15 to $14, it's no better than what people are trying to sell all 4 issues on eBay. So it was no different. So there you go. I just went with what I'm able to get. Finally, here we have is number 4, and this one, final issue in this mini, also turned out to be a newsstand edition. And this one's got a small sort of spinal, but I can handle one on, this one's not too bad. I can handle this, but what I'm not going to handle is when something looks like it's like, you know, it's like completely bent almost all the other way, and I'm like, and especially on the page where this is where you kind of open the comic up where you get to read. I don't like that. I kind of prefer this slight at least, because it's doable, it's manageable. This right there, when you have it when like this, to me it's not manageable. But this is still a fairly clean copy. This is the only copy. This wasn't bagged or boarded, but again, I was able to get at least $3 for it, so that's fine enough for me. So still a fairly clean copy. Not near mint by any means, but you know what? I want to check the series out anyway, so this was a good way to complete an entire run in one day. So I fairly got a good deal on all 4 of those. So I couldn't be any happier with at least all 4 of these. So again, just to re-show them again, the Wild Dog mini-series. Freaking amazing. And that's a fairly, and that character, eventually I might do some sort of video on Wild Dog. Maybe at some point I'm talking about maybe sort of Punisher-esque character that was, you know, published under DC Comics. There you go. Finally, let's get into the last comic that I picked. This was a fairly new one. I just picked this one up. But I've at least been eyeing it there, and this was a fairly clean copy for this particular newsstand edition. But is DC Comics number 66, which is, I gotta say, might be the first meeting between Etrigan and Superman. And again, it's a newsstand edition. Somehow this has not quite been documented on like Key Comics Collectors and Legion of Super Geeks. You know, this is not quite documented. Only ones you'll ever see on Key Comics Collector that is like a newsstand is a Canadian price, but this is not a Canadian price. This is a legit newsstand US. So it's a 75 cent or so. It is a legit US, newsstand. And what's funny is, I got this again. This is for how much I got it? $3. I got this for $3. It's a fairly clean copy. It looks really good. I've yet to look at the entire comic, but so far from the cover, this might be a fairly good 8.5 to a near 9.0, which is at least decent enough for me to grab. I'm not gonna, like, there was another copy they had that was also a newsstand, but it was a lot dirtier and it just didn't look too appealing, and they were selling out for $3. So one that was in slightly better condition, yeah, I'll grab this copy, which was placed in another different box that had some other DC Comics titles. So it's great. And again, Joe Kubert art, gotta get that in. Gotta get in the fact that it's a great Joe Kubert cover. But this is also a bit of a small key. This is the first appearance for Blackbriar Thorn, who is a druid sorcerer who, in order to escape death, magically turned himself into wood. Freaking very crazy. It's Len Wein, by the way, as the writer, so it's really fascinating. Still, it's a bit of a small key, and so in fairly good condition for a newsstand that's not quite documented. And when you go on eBay, people that are selling the newsstand editions for this are selling them close to $10. So I got at least a fairly good deal for it. So there you have it. DC Comics Presents number 66. There you have it, folks. There's all the comic books I wanted to show you. If you have any thoughts, whether on any of the ones I showed, you can all leave them down in the comment section below. But again, if you're not quite still yet wondering, or not just quite ready with yourself, whether you want to hit that subscribe button because of you're not quite sure if you want to continue on with me, please do. Because no matter what, I'm at least going to show some fairly interesting titles. Some that might end up putting you on the trail to hunt for some of these titles and see if you can find yourself a newsstand or a direct or any of these that might show that actually might be a bit harder to find. You might end up it might pique your interest. So please hit that subscribe button. It's going to do me well. It's going to do you well because you're not going to miss out on any brand new content. So with that, I hope all of you enjoyed. Keep on reading, keep on hunting, and keep on collecting comic books, everybody. Take care.